Okay, so at this point, you all have analyzed systems like what I have on the left before. This showed up in your Tuesday work, where you analyzed this default system with a faucet, running water, a wheel that converts that energy into something that's usable for this water. The additional step in this Thursday and Friday work is really thinking about what about this system is inefficient, and then as the engineers and scientists at the head of some project, how can we make that better? How can we make this system more efficient? We're still starting off with an energy tree diagram, and we're just using the key over here on the left with these forms of energy for different color little E blocks representing energy to figure out what these energy transformations look like. So at first we have these little gray E blocks. That's our mechanical energy in the system. So for our tree diagram over on the right, I'm going to start with mechanical energy. One quick aside is that mechanical energy in the past we've referred to as the two more specific types of potential and kinetic energy. Kinetic energy being the energy of motion, so this water is running, so it has kinetic energy. It also has potential energy, though, because it's up at some height. So anything with height has potential energy. Then continuing with our system, that water flows and the mechanical energy is converted by this wheel into these little blue blocks, which our key tells us is electrical energy traveling through that wire. So after that, we see the energy runs through this wire and into this heating coil, which then heats up the water, and that is thermal energy. You could call that heat energy as well. I know I've seen some people writing HE in there. I think that's totally okay and valid. So we've got our tree diagram the way that we've been drawing them in the past. Now, today the new step is thinking about where this system is inefficient. So inefficiency means that we're looking at where in this system are we losing some energy, making our water heat up less, or where before the energy gets to this water are we losing? Where is this energy leaving our system before it gets to this water? So as I'm looking at this diagram, even just in this snapshot, I can see some of these mechanical energy E's from our water falling and not hitting this wheel, not being converted into electrical and eventually thermal energy. So in terms of updating this tree diagram over on the right side, we don't have a perfect conversion of mechanical energy into electrical energy. Some of that mechanical energy from the water stays mechanical energy and doesn't become useful to our system. So that mechanical energy that doesn't get converted would be an inefficiency in our system. Right? None of this mechanical energy that's just leaving the system without hitting this wheel, without getting to the water, is helping us reach our desired output. So we need to think about, as the scientists and engineers on this project or on this system, what can we do to keep as much of the energy in this system and minimize this inefficiency? And the answers for that can be really varied. So your answers for questions like that do not have to be the same thing. There are a lot of valid and correct answers that you could think of for that. For this system, maybe for example, I might think about having like some kind of ramp so that not as much of this water just flows right by this wheel. Or maybe I would think about moving that faucet over to a more central location so that more of the water actually hits the wheel instead of just sort of like a lot of it missing by depending on hitting that wheel at the exact right angle or at the right time where the wheel is turned at the exact right point. So a lot of different answers for that solution. But being able to solve or draw these tree diagrams and identifying that inefficiency and then coming up with your own creative solution is going to really be the additional step that we're starting today.